So dudes, welcome to another Agent How-To. Cypher is an intel gathering, defensively focused character. Equipped with a set of tripwires, vision denial that he can set and activate at any time, a deployable camera he can access from any point on the map, and an ult that provides a flash of wall hacks for everyone on his team provided a kill is netted.
Cage triggered. You will not kill my ally. Where is everyone hiding?
No chance.
You guys voted for it, and I love democracy. Sometimes. So we'll talk about the camera first and foremost. Cypher's camera can be deployed on any hard surface and look around, plus give the ability for Cypher to tag enemies with a dart that reveals their location until they take a moment to remove it. It cloaks itself when not in use, but instantly reveals itself when activated, and is destroyed by a single shot. The camera can be retrieved and placed in a different location within a 15-second cooldown, but if it's destroyed, Cypher will have to wait 45 seconds. The key to getting the most out of this gadget is to establish vision over a site. There are lots of different Cypher camera spots that you can memorize, but the main trick with his ability, or any of his abilities for that matter, is to switch up their positions at least every other round or so. Reason being, if the camera location becomes habit-forming, you could end up putting it in the same spot every round, and then it'll just get pre-fired by the enemy team. This is especially important on defense, where his camera becomes a very important tool to ascertain the situation on a bomb site. Now obviously, if it gets shot out at the beginning of the round, it's not a huge deal, as that is intel in and of itself, and Cypher can just deploy it again in 45 seconds. But the ability for Cypher to place the camera in a variety of spots allows you to get creative with it. His camera is a pretty good representation of his job. He shouldn't play so aggressively that he'll run risk of dying and not being able to use his abilities, but he shouldn't play so passive that he doesn't take any gunfights at all. In English, don't play like a crackhead, but don't play like a wimp either. One thing that new Cyphers tend to do a lot, and this is something I did too, is over-rotate. You hear about a pick on a site from far away, and your first instinct is to try and get there as fast as possible. Unless you know for certain it is a commit, that means the minimap shows multiple enemies pushed out of the main entryway into the site. Don't run all the way over there. If 2 or 3 teammates are getting steamrolled, yeah, obviously go, but a sentinel's job isn't to roam. Their job is to anchor. Instead of running to the opposite end of the map when the first pick happens, hold an angle on mid from cover that you can quickly retreat from if need be, while periodically checking your camera on the site that you're covering. If you're too far away, you won't be able to fight and prevent the enemy from getting map control on the site they've actually committed to, which could be the site that you left wide open. Your randoms in ranked might complain that you're not helping them. If they get too toxic, just mute at your discretion. Whether or not your team is having trouble holding a site is something to figure out next round, and if you have to at that point, move your setup over to that site your team is having trouble on. Cypher's key ability is to have vision over parts of the map that his teammates can't have, but if you can't do anything with that vision, it's useless.
What?
Nope, they didn't commit. They went A.
This is a real freaking embarrassment.
I mean, I literally just did the fucking cardinal mistake. The same thing applies for using his camera on attack. What's more useful, a camera that can spot a flanking Reyna from a single corridor that can already be accounted for with a tripwire, or a camera that can observe every entryway into the site in a post plant? I'm sure it's instinctive, especially for Siege players, to put their cameras on flanks all the time. Every once in a while, a tricky placement can serve as a useful way to prevent a flank. But for the most part, I try to pocket my cams for post plants. This philosophy helps with my next points about his other abilities, which will change your playstyle with him for the better. Hey everybody, how's it going? A while ago, a guy who looked like a cyborg Viking biker came in with some arms he needed fixed. There was just one small problem. A buddy of his took the servos I needed. This led me down a little rabbit hole, all the way up to the Valorant protocol, and demonstrates another example of how Kingdom the company loves to screw over not just average people, but also interdimensional secret agents. I've put the tripwires and cages together in the same section because you should get yourself in the habit of using them together. Here's the reason why. A tripwired opponent gives Cypher wallhack vision on that opponent. A cage keeps them from being able to see you. It's a free kill most of the time. An interesting aspect about the cages is that they are hollow. You can see through the top of them. More than the camera, the most important thing to switch up are your tripwires, and you should buy them frequently. You can only buy 2 of them in a given round, but these are, in my opinion, the most useful aspects of Cypher's kit. They provide intel because you can tell when they get destroyed. They provide crowd control and free wall hacks if an enemy gets stuck in them. You can put them pretty much anywhere, which means if you know enough of these tripwires, the enemy has to keep guessing where they are whenever they enter a site. Use your cages in conjunction with the tripwires. You get 2 of them just like the trips as well. Throw them right where the tripwires are located, and you have an easy way to deny vision of the enemy for a brief period of time. Plus, potentially get a free kill. After you throw the cages following the buy phase, you can't pick them up. Deployed on top of stuff, the cages can be used as one-ways. But personally, I don't like doing this a lot, as it's more of a job for your smoke character. However, as a mix-up, an occasional one-way is not a bad idea. Cypher's ult has a certain range at which it can be used, which is why you see me spamming the alt key a lot whenever there's a dead enemy nearby.
Give me a corpse. Give me
It's time to
a corpse. Give me a corpse.
Cypher's ult is unique in that it can only be activated provided you have killed an opponent. You'll see why this is the case because the ult is very strong. There's not much to say about a brief flash of wall hacks for your team, revealing the locations of every opponent from your field of vision as well as the minimap. When activated at the right time, this ultimate can change the course of a round in an instant. One aspect about the ultimate is that Cypher has to enter an animation lock to do it, so it's easier for him to get picked off sooner rather than later. This means that the right play in some circumstances might be to push him as soon as you hear him give the voice line if you're playing against him, and you should anticipate that enemy swing when you're playing him. It's a very straightforward ability. Use it at the right time to assess whether or not you should rotate to one site versus the other one, or to clean up enemy positions on an attack. You don't need to see the corpse itself to use it though, so if you know for certain a dead enemy is on the other side of a smoke, for example, you can still use it. Because you only need 6 points for this ult, I would advise against trying to keep it pocketed for rounds you think for certain you'll win or lose. You never know what could happen, so if you can use it as a round secure tool, go for it. Sure, it might be a 4v1, but you've seen clutches happen before, so it's worth just getting that extra security sometimes. Also, don't forget this part. Let's say that an enemy frags 2 of your teammates and gets pinched in a 2v1. That's still a dent in your economy that you don't want. Don't just think of Cypher's ult as a way to turn the tide in an even man count round. Think of it as a way to secure rounds, or give your team a fighting chance to clutch it up.
That Molly missed.
One enemy remaining.
Backside.
Cypher's great on every map except for Breeze and Icebox.
No.
Breeze is way too open, and Icebox isn't linear enough, so he'll find his utility spread too thin on these maps.
Help.
On attack, Cypher will be expected to use his tripwires for flank denial and his throwable smokes to fill in gaps left by his primary smoker like an Omen or a Brimstone. His camera comes into play very well for post-plant situations. On defense, Cypher holds down the fort, delaying pushes into main routes of a bomb site with his trips, and netting kills on opponents who can't see him with his cages used in conjunction with those trips, making use of his camera to spot enemies on the site as well, from a safe distance. Or you could just click on the enemy. You could just click on them. You can do that, too. You know.
Greg, you saved my cojones.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
Bomb buddy.
Oh, no! I'm 5 million IQ!